Labels are really powerful, and we looked at that in the last video, but we sometimes want buttons. So these labels, they're there and they look nice, but they don't really do much. If you go back over here to the objects, you'll see a whole bunch of objects. You can move this around as well, by the way. We're going to grab a button and we're going to put it just there. Now, I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to run it. So you can press run up here, or you can press Command R, and that'll run your app in the simulator. So my first app, and there you go. And you can see it all looks nice. When I hit the button, you can see that it goes white like that. So it looks like I've clicked on it. We can change the buttons and their behaviors a lot, and we'll do that in this video over here. I'll call my button Scream. And later on, we'll start adding code, and we'll make this button that when you press it, it makes a loud sound. So we can change the text color. I'm going to change, I like this red up here, so it matches my red up the top. And again, I'm going to change the font. I don't think I like any of these actually, so I'm going to go to custom, and I'm going to build my own one. So the default font is Helvetica Neue. You can pick whichever font you like. I'm going to leave it at that font, and you can change the style. So I'm going to go bold, and for my color, for my size, I'm going to say 40. I want this to be a big button. And there you go, and just make sure it fits in nicely with everything else, and center it. Cool. So there's my button, and now when I run that in the simulator, again, we haven't hooked it up to the code yet, so it doesn't do anything. But when I press it, you can see it looks nice. And when I press my labels, nothing happens because they're just labels. So with my button, I actually have a few different states. And this is important. Labels don't have states, and really nothing has states except for buttons. The state you see when we push it down, if I show you that again, if I hold this down, it's in the selected state. So as I'm holding my cursor down on that button, which would be my finger on an iOS device, you see it goes a lighter color like that, and it just means that the user knows the button has been pressed and that it's actually working. We can change the states by going to the state configuration up here. So if I go highlighted, I'm going to change the text color to this blue, and I can run that there. And now when I highlight it, it goes blue. But you'll see that it also goes a bit white, whiter than the blue is set over here. If I go back to my highlighted, that's just a natural thing it does because we have a system button. But I can change this if I want to a custom button. I'll change my font, and when I change it, I want to do everything that I've changed. I want to do that in my default. If you change things only in the highlighted, they'll only be for the highlighted. If you change things for default, they'll change in everything. So let's go to to default, and let's change our font. So I've set the button type to custom now, and now let's change it. I'm going to keep that font bold, and let's go 40. There we go. And now when I go to my highlighted state, it's going to have a custom color of that blue. So let's see what that looks like. So there you go. Now when I press it, it's blue like that. And I can change the title. So my default title is there. If I change my highlighted title to something like Screaming, and I make that wider because otherwise we'll have problems. So if I do something like that, then now whilst I'm pressing the button, you'll see that the text changes from scream to screaming, and when I deselect it, it stops. We'll code this all later so that it actually does make a sound, probably not a scream, but some sort of sound. But you want to play around with the settings here. Also, you can put images in your buttons. So maybe your button doesn't even want to have text, you can put images. We'll get into images in the interface later on. They can be a bit fiddly sometimes. And you can put a background image where you have an image in the background and text over the top of it. There's heaps of different things. Just make sure that the key thing is, if you're editing your button, edit it in default, not in highlighted. The only time you want to edit it in highlighted is if those changes are only for highlighted. Otherwise, we want to edit it in default. And that's all there is to buttons. Thank you.